Hello and welcome to Physics 131 with the Arduino Starter Kit Project 14 by Jose and Dominic. So basically overview of this project is to tweak the Arduino logo itself. And when I say that is the Arduino logo, which is going to be this logo here, will change colors by programming the Arduino to a specific code in which we'll read different voltages as far as reading them from coding of the computer and translating them into visuals that we are able to see on the computer screen itself. As you can see here, the hardware that is used is obviously going to be the Arduino circuit board itself. We have the potentiometer, I believe is how you say it. Excuse me if I butchered that. We have two small wire bridges in order to transfer the power. We have a wire here going from the AO output. We have a ground and we have a 5 voltage wire going from the power into the breadboard itself. And also within that we also have the power cord in which connects to the computer to supply the power itself. Now from this, it's a very simple build. Usually doesn't take as long as specified here, which says 45 minutes. It took us all in all, about 15 minutes to put the board together and about 20 minutes or so to put the coding into the computer. Now the coding itself comes in two different forms, in our case of the Tweak the Arduino logo. Now many of you see this in your beginning programming, whether it be for projects 1 through 5, which we did in class. Many of us use these void setup, void loop keywords in which set up the Arduino to read specific lines within the program itself. Now this 9600 here is going to be how fast the Arduino reads the programs and different inputs that come into it. So that's going to be a processing number for the most part. This AO4 output, or the AO and then /4, is going to be the divide the analog reading by 4, and then this is going to be in which the analog is read. So from that AO that you saw that was connected here in this case, and in our build was actually at this point here. So it's going to be divided by 4. So all the numbers that it's going to be able to read is going to be from 0 to 255, and that range comes from raw bytes in which the voltage is changed from. And these raw bytes are actually seen as different characters and symbols, things that wouldn't make much sense to us just to the naked eye would not make much sense. Now, the delay is obviously here, and the delay is actually going to be for the millisecond to the ADC settled down after the byte in which is processed. So, excuse me, that's going to give us a little bit of time to be able to let the computer process the voltage in which is read in raw bytes to be processed in a way that we are able to see, which is going to be shown on later on in this video. Another piece of information I forgot to mention is this first program here. I mentioned we have two programs. This first one here is going to be uploaded to the Arduino computer itself. Now, this is going to be what is producing the different symbols in order to change those symbols into raw bytes, which is exactly what they're going to be transferred to our processing code in. So this is what produces all of our raw bytes in this case. So the 0 to 255, that's what you see here. This is what this program is going to do at this point. Now the next part of the program is going to be this processing code. Now this processing code, we did have a little bit of trouble entering into our computer, not only for the reason that it's a very tedious program to insert, but also for the fact that we did have some issues as far as the highlighting of the words. So as you can see, the import here is highlighted. The PI or excuse me, the P image, and then logo, the color mode, the void setup, the initial background color, excuse me. Just different words that you see here that are highlighted in the book. We did have issues with that in our program itself. Now, the reasons we had problems with our program itself was various things that could have gone wrong, in which we researched and did a lot of troubleshooting on. But many of the people that had problems within this program or this project, to be more specific, was that it wasn't the actual program itself necessarily, but the computer that it was run on. So many people had Macs in which they were running this program on and had the issue of not being able to open up the right processing IDE for the Arduino, which is the case that we had. Now, we had done research, obviously, to try to be able to fix this, but we did have to have a little bit of help from David, in which he sat down and figured out that it is actually the lab computers in Montezuma. So it wasn't just the programming, it has to do with the updated software within the computer itself, not just these codes here. Now, different things update, and this is a real life application of what might happen, is that, so let me go ahead and show you our video real quick before we go ahead and show you anything. So the processing code is the one that isn't running. So the Arduino code itself is the one that's running, producing the raw bytes. Now Jose is going to go ahead and turn the potentiometer in this case and show all the different readings that you're able to get. So let me just go ahead and show you this real quick. Now he's going to go ahead and turn that knob, and if you can see here, all these different characters here show up differently and are seen as things that we don't really know what they are. Now those things are actually interpreted into computer language, I guess, and change the color of the logo, in which David showed us right here in this video. So let's go ahead and watch here. As he turns the potentiometer, you see the different colors changing because this is going to be on David's computer here, and he does have the updated software so that it is able to run in that processing IDE. And this is going to be the code in which, the correct code, excuse me, in which allows this Arduino logo to change colors. Now, going back to ours, we did have the few issues here, as you can see, the little bit of difference. Ours is not going to be in that IDE plain window, so ours is going to still end up being in this Sketch IDE program. And this is where we had our problem at, was trying to get this window to run, but obviously we couldn't. So let me go ahead and take you through some of the coding in which we used for our project. Now this first line here, this import processing serial, this line here is going to be very important to the processing code itself. Now it's essential that this goes through because the Arduino Uno itself does not recognize some of the key words in which are going to be used in the processing code. Therefore, a small library has to be uploaded into the program itself to be able to read all these different characters and keywords and raw bytes to transfer them into the project itself. So this here is going to be a very important one to get things started. Now the next one here, this P image logo, this is going to be the one that's used to show that an object is being changed as an image. In this case, it's going to be the logo and the image itself. So that's all that code is. Very important parts to the actual project itself, because that is the whole main point of the project, is to change those raw bytes. Now this first line here of the processing coding, or excuse me, the fourth line in the processing coding, this one is going to be a code in which allows the background color to be transparent, and this is going to allow us to be able to see the different changes of color within the logo as it's being fed these different raw bytes from 0 to 255, and that's going to be what is visually seen on the screen, as you saw earlier in David's video. Now, once again, we're going to see this void setup, and this void setup is going to be for a program of a couple of parameters that will be used while it runs. Now, this here is going to be the color mode. Now, the color mode is essential. This HSB standing for hue, saturation, and brightness. Now, we did a little bit of research on hue, saturation, and brightness for this coding. Now, there are 1,600 different codes in which you're able to change the hue, the saturation, and brightness within this program. Now, this particular program itself called for the 255. Now, this 255 will help us range colors from green, yellow, blue, red, and any different shades in between. Now, the difference here is this HSB is very key because we need all three numbers to be able to see the different changes as we're turning the potentiometer to read different voltages within the program. So this is a cool little code itself right here, this HSB. If you think about it, it can be used for a lot of different things. Now, if I were to change colors on my background on my computer, that HSB would have to take place to read the different images of, or the different pixels of the actual program in which I'm uploading or what have you, whatever it be. Now the logo here, the load image one, just moving on. This load image here is going to be the image in which we pull up, which is the Arduino logo. And this is going to be the size of it. This is where the sizing happens. Now we just went ahead and put this in because the logo itself already holds a width and height of its own. And that's going to be determined by this link here. Now, once it's downloaded, it'll pop up from the program itself. And from that, it pretty much goes self-explanatory. So this is going to be here where the serial list and the variable serial lists. This is going to be what's reading the actual bytes itself. So the different characters in which I told you guys earlier, the thing that was being uploaded to read those different I'm trying to think of the word I just wanted to use. The different raw bytes, I guess. So that's going to be what reads it here, the different commands in which the Arduino Uno isn't used to already. And that's what's going to be read through here. And then again, with that library that I said got uploaded, this is going to specify which library it is that it's reading with or working in conjunction with. In this case would be the first program in which we uploaded to the Arduino itself. Now this stuff here, this is going to be the one that changes the background color itself. So we have the 255 to 255. And let me go ahead and show you the video of it in action actually, so that we are able to visually see it. So in this case, we have the 00 here, in which we ran it, and you'll see the different changes here. It just ends up being black. So you can see he's turning it there, and because it's from the 0 to 0, it doesn't have a different hue or a different saturation in this case. It just ends up being that black. But we want it to range from the white to the red. So by changing these two values, the hue and saturation, it's able to change the different colors. So that's going to be our HSB that we were talking about earlier, which is going to be here. So that HSB is very important to this project, so that this is able to happen. And that's the main key point in this project, is to use that HSB. And to know that you're uploading a library of different codes that will work in conjunction with each program, not just one of them. And that's how you get a working program to tweak your Arduino logo in this case. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's going to be our project that David got running for us instead of us with the with his computer versus ours. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was a little bit of information that you guys didn't know already. And thank you guys for watching.